It's the last Friday of the month, and so once again, it is time for my Apartments Book Club. This month, our theme was Ohio, so we either did books set in Ohio or books written by Ohio authors. And if you're sitting there wondering why Ohio, that's where we live. So we thought we would highlight some of our local, just either authors or just books written locally with local places in mind. So I have 3 books that I am bringing, and they are these 3. So I'm going to do kind of just like a little rapid fire description of each of them. Always going to keep it spoiler free. If you're looking at one of these books and questioning why I'm bringing it, I will explain, and I will also explain how I'm going to explain that book without having anybody clutch their pearls, you know. So the first book is Little Fires Everywhere. You've probably seen this book so many times. It has been made into a TV show. So this book actually is not only written by an Ohio author, but also set in Ohio in Shaker Heights, which is very close to where I live. So this book really revolves around a main family, the Richardson family, who are very wealthy, upper class, the white picket fence, 2.5 kids type family. And we also follow another family, which is a little bit different, and that's the Warrens. And that is Mia and Pearl. Mia is a single mother. She kind of rolls into town. There's a lot of mystery about her past. And she's very artistic and things like this. So she kind of starts working for the Richardsons. And just over time, Mrs. Richardson becomes very intrigued by Mia's past and really wants to know more about what happened with her, what's the secret, what's the truth of Pearl, and what is with this little family and how they're now very embroiled into her family. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from is she starts to see that not just her children but also her husband become very enmeshed with Mia and Pearl, and I think she starts to feel a little uncomfortable with that. But there's a ton of twists and turns in this. It's a very big mystery. There's a lot of things that happen in this book. Highly recommend it. Could not put it down. I haven't watched the TV show yet. If you have, let me know what you think of it. I think my mom has. But like I said, I've heard really great things about the TV show. This book was fantastic. If you're looking for a good book set in Ohio that's got a good mystery, this is going to be the book for you. So the next book, I actually did not realize this author was an Ohio author until I started Googling and trying to find what books am I going to bring to book club. And I figured out that she lives in Cincinnati, which color me surprised, but it's Emily Henry. If anybody knew that she was in Ohio, let me know, because that was a huge surprise to not just me, but to some of the other people I go to book club with. But I'm bringing Happy Place, which is my absolute favorite Emily Henry book. So we follow, I believe it is Harriet and Wynn. So they have been dating. They are now breaking up / I believe they're broken up. But every year their giant friend group does this really big vacation, and they all go and, they hang out and everything. And they decide not to let any of their friends know that they're broken up. They just want to kind of make it through this vacation with everybody, enjoy one last time, because they understand that the dynamic of things are going to change once they announce their breakup. It's going to kind of, in a way, maybe tear up this friend group, or at least make things a little bit different how they go forward. The reason why I think I love this book so much is I think it's very realistic. All these individuals, they met in college. They had friendships in college. That's where they developed them. They're now much older. And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough, is that the friendships you make in college, yeah, they can last your whole adult life, but you got to work for it. And we see that a lot in this book, where one individual, not as communicative with the group as she normally has been, her and her significant other, they're a little bit they haven't been communicating as much. They're kind of hemming and hawing about people visiting, which is kind of making others in the group feel their plate, things have just changed. And we just kind of see that over time, as they have this really big kind of I would say blowout towards the end, that they all have very adult things that are going on in their lives, their careers, their families, they're moving forward with next steps in their lives. There's just a lot going on. And I think that's a really realistic thing when you have these big friend groups that you made in college, and now you're in your, mid to late 30s, and you've got a whole lot of life now. There's a lot of difference between, hey, we're in class every day and we're getting drunk on the weekends, to now we have full-blown careers, we're dating people, we're married, we're looking at having children, we're looking at moving. There's just a lot that goes on. So that's why I loved this book. I think it was a very realistic thing. I absolutely loved the way everything was, you know, discussed and how everything was kind of brought to life. And I also just, it's Emily Henry, so you know the writing is going to be amazing. All the characters are going to be really well fleshed out. And like I said, out of all of her books that I've read so far, this was absolutely my favorite. I couldn't put it down. And in fact, when I was, again, looking for this, I finally convinced myself to go buy a physical copy specifically for book club. So I really can't recommend it enough. I think you're going to really love it. And excuse my cat messing with my stand. But again, this is a really great book. Again, highlighting an Ohio author who I didn't even know was an Ohio author. Okay, so this last book I'm bringing, you guys are probably going to scratch your head and go, Kate, why are you bringing an incredibly dark romance book to book club? Full caveat, I'm not going to go into details of everything that happens, especially the smut. We're not going to talk about the gun scene at book club today. I'm just bringing it because I really love this author. She did used to live in Ohio. I know she recently moved out of Ohio, but she lived here. She lived very close to here, and in fact did many book signings at my local Barnes & Noble that I can walk to from my apartment. So without further ado, it is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Again, I am not going to go into like the full-blown like smut everything with this book at book club. I'm just going to highlight an Ohio author and just basically say it is very, very dark romance. Read at your own risk. But if you know nothing about this book, because you've been living underneath a rock, so this book follows Adeline, who basically her grandmother has passed away and she is now living in her home. It's a very old Victorian home out in the woods by herself. And slowly but surely she starts to realize that there is an individual, Zaid, who is following her, stalking her, leaving her roses in her house, leaving other gifts at her front porch after dates. It's just a very it's a very dark romance. Like that's the best I can say. It's a very dark, smutty, spicy romance. But some of the things that I really, really loved about this duology, and if you haven't read it, again, very much trigger warnings, look at them before you get into it, is the sex trafficking. H.D. Carlton did not shy away from anything that happened to these women, and I really appreciated that. She did it with such class that, you know, it wasn't gratifying. She wasn't trying to make it look like it could be something else. She showed the nitty gritty, dirty, nasty of it and how awful it is and how much it can still continue to impact, especially in the second book, which is Hunting Adeline. I always feel like I've read many books where an individual has been sex trafficked or something similar to that happens, and I feel like it's just too quickly solved, if that makes sense. I know we talk a lot about it on here, but the case of the magical penis, I feel like that's too much with a lot of books where a character, especially female, has either been sex trafficked or essayed or anything like that, and she doesn't do that. In the second book, Adeline still struggles for quite a while with the things that happen to her, and it's never completely fixed. Like, you know, it's a long-term thing, and I think she really highlights that. So that's why I'm going to bring this book. I really love it. I love H.D. Carlton. I think she's an amazing author and just an amazing person on here. The way she talks to her fans, and like I said, I am heartbroken that she has now moved out of Ohio because I really love that she came to my local Barnes & Noble a lot. But bringing this book, we'll see what the response to it is. So once again, these are my 3 books that I will be taking to book club with me. I'm very excited. This is some of my favorite thing. Like, the thing I look forward to every month is my apartment complex's book club. Next month, I already do know the theme. I say that because I am the one who suggests the themes and picks them for book club. But next month's theme is page to screen, which I have a bunch of books that I could bring. So I'm gonna have to really calm myself and narrow it down to like 5. I can't bring my whole bookshelf. So next month's theme is going to be page to screen, and just wait until you see what I bring next month.